Welcome to the Octopod. I'm Kyle Davies, Head of the Office of the CTO. Join us as we dive into the latest technologies and trends shaping business. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just looking to stay ahead in the digital age, this podcast is for you. Let's unlock opportunities with technology together. Let's jump in. This time we're going to delve into the announcements and thoughts and feelings from HPE Discover. And we're joined by our own Kyle Davies. Kyle, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure, thanks, Rob. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle Davies. I'm the head of the Office of the CTO at CDW, and I just had the great pleasure of going to HPE Discover.
Excellent. So we're going to break this into three parts. First one, we're going to look at general views of what you found at the event and have a conversation about the virtualization release that was announced. In part two, we're going to talk about HPE Private Cloud for AI. Then in part three, we're going to pick up the evolution of the OpsRamp acquisition from HP. So what did you feel, boots on the ground over in the States? And what does this virtualization release mean? But I guess, Kyle, initially, what was your feeling and your overall takeaways from spending the days over in the States?
So my feelings were it was extremely warm, right? It was 42 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Right? And that, for someone that's used to UK weather where it's wet and cold generally, it was sweltering.
Yeah.
But the feel was really good, actually. It was the biggest Discover yet, right?
Cool.
So a lot of great announcements, which we'll get into, but it was the biggest Discover yet, and that's because they merged Aruba Atmosphere, which used to be a separate event, with Discover.
Yeah.
So you had the two worlds combining from the networking side of the business and the data center elements of the business. And the bit for me was they wanted to try and make it as immersive as possible. So when you normally go to a conference, the Solutions Expo is full of 1,000,001 partners, and you're walking around getting pull to post, and your badge is getting scanned every 2 seconds for the marketing campaigns that then follow when you leave. There wasn't a lot of that, which was really, really good to see, considering there's over 15,000 people there as well.
So what did they replace that with then, as far as that interaction that you got?
Yeah, so it was tours, right? Like tours with audio headsets so they could talk you through the things. There was over 150 demos to go and see. There was partner areas or ISVs and ecosystem partners you can go and see, but they were on the outside edges. So if you were in the core part of it, it was like HP was the core and then the partner supplement kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
But I found it really good because I could go and get hands-on, which we'll cover in a bit, right? Which was really good fun. They also had Partner Growth Summit. So for anyone that's a HPE partner, we get a bit of an insight into what's coming before Discover kicks off on the Tuesday. So we got a little bit on the Monday under embargo. We couldn't say anything, which was great. But then it left me with more questions. And I had to wait. But it was really, really good, really, really busy. And I actually got some tips on my golf swing, which was even better because we went to Top Golf on one of the evenings with customers in HPE. And a pro decided to teach me how to actually swing a golf club properly, because if anyone has seen it online, I am not great at golf.
But a little bit better now.
I hope so.
So, yeah. And what did you spend most of your time doing over there? I mean, guess for people that haven't had the joy of attending one of these large conferences, what's the sort of day-to-day feel like at these events?
Yeah, so because they have Partner Growth on the Monday, we get to get a bit of the insight before the Tuesday event kicks off, which means that we can spend our time on the Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday focusing on deep dive sessions or being with our customers that we took with us. Right? So get all your technology in on the Monday and then help host during the rest of the week. If I think about the Tuesdays for me and the Wednesdays, I had a lot of executive meetings. So I met a lot of the VPs and SVPs at HP and NVIDIA, and we were kind of talking around the go-to-markets and how can we actually take a meaningful message around AI to our customers that isn't just we do AI too, right? And that was quite interesting conversations. More to follow on that probably in weeks and months to come. From a deep dive session perspective, there was choices of hands-on labs. There was choices of going into just chalk and talk sessions. There was kind of the Airhead stuff which was going on from the Aruba side. So there was so much to choose from. If anything, I could have filled probably over a week's worth of sessions whilst I was there.
Customers thinking of going to these events in the future for different types of audiences, whether it's C-level, whether it's managers, whether it's techies, there's quite a variety of
There's something for all.
Yeah. Cool, that makes sense. And you mentioned the two-letter word AI that's attached to everything these days. How prevalent was that in the conversation? And was there something different in that, or was it more of the same that we've been hearing over the last few months?
No, so there was more to it. So the main theme of the event, as you'd expect, was AI. And there was a lot of announcements around the partnership with NVIDIA. We had Jensen on stage with Antonio from HPE, and they were talking about their close partnership and why HPE was a great choice for people looking to AI workloads. But let's call that in part 2, right? But the virtualization stack.
Yeah, so obviously there's been quite a disruption in the market and lots of conversations around, hypervisor futures and all that sort of stuff. So interesting to see HP join that piece. And how do you see them positioning that against the rest of the competition in that space, I guess?
Well, it wasn't interesting. When I first heard it under embargo on the Monday, I was like, this is a Me Too motion. This is, I need a hypervisor so I can try and capitalize on a market share. That was the first thing that came into my mind. And then I sat down with a couple of the VPs from HP, and actually it became very prevalent very quickly that wasn't necessarily the case. Right? It may look like that from an outside perspective. But what they're actually trying to achieve is that flexibility and choice. They already have partnerships with VMware that will be remaining, right? They have partnerships with Microsoft Azure, Azure Stack HCI, that will be remaining. Same with Red Hat and OpenShift. The same with their new virtualization capability they brought online. The same with Nutanix. What they want to be able to say is that HPE can provide you a route to deliver your workloads in whatever best suits you.
Okay, so giving you that flexibility of choice over time.
Yeah.
So maybe you need to refresh on and be on VMware today, but who knows what 12, 18 months, 36 months down the line looks like.
Yeah, and if we think about the overall message from HP around their private cloud offering is flexibility and choice, whether it's on-prem, whether it's in the public hyperscalers, whether you need to do bare metal, or whether you're doing Kubernetes on bare metal or Kubernetes in virtual machines, or whether you're just doing standard virtual machine workloads. With the virtualization launch, you now get a HPE offer for that piece. If you want to be HP end-to-end, you get that choice now, which you didn't have previously. And it's kind of worth delving into what does it actually mean? What is it, right? It's KVM, right? It's not new. It's not something they've just built overnight. It's a hardened version of KVM. And that's not where the special sauce is from what I saw in the demos. The special sauce is on the orchestration layer that they've added into the private cloud management platform.
And is that part of the Green Lake?
Part of the Green Lake management platform, yeah. And the orchestration they put in there is phenomenal, really. There's been a lot of effort spent on how do you provide a better management experience on KVM, because that's one of the biggest complaints that you get when you use KVM. Outside of support for ISV virtual appliances, if we ignore that for a minute. It's that kind of management experience. How do I get the right insights without building custom Prometheus Grafana dashboards for things and all that kind of stuff?
Is that really about helping customers operationalize that potential change to a different hypervisor and wrapping some enterprise support around it at the same time?
100%. And everything we look at our hypervisor ebook that you've kindly been working on, if we look at the KVM location on that wave, on that chart that we've got, what HP have done is fill some of the gaps that are in the weaknesses of KVM to make them more of a meaningful player for enterprise, right? Which is great news. And one of the things that's worth kind of talking about is their ease of migration. Now, that doesn't matter whether you're on ESX, whether you're in the public cloud. They're not aiming at one provider. So this isn't a let's rip out VMware motion. They have done it across a plethora of common locations or types of hypervisor you might use today. And they've automated the migration process. So if you are running in Azure or in EC2 and you want to bring something back on-prem, you can literally just point it at your subscription or your VPC, give it the right permissions, right? And you can say, I want that workload on my HPE virtualization capable hardware. And you choose it and you say move, right? They created the replication layer. Basically, it's going to be fundamentally using Zerto underneath, right? It's already using a load of automation stacks around stripping out some of the guest OS requirements that may be in there from the location you're pulling it from. And it's really just seamlessly trying to make that migration easy for sysadmins. What I haven't seen yet is the time stack. Obviously, that's dependent on network links and latency. There will be downtime required, right? It's for the cutover. And you've also got to bear in mind there might be some network changes as well, unless you've got a stretch layer too. Yeah. So other than that, it looks pretty strong. But again, it's very new and no one's had their hands on it at scale yet. So we'll see how that goes. But it is KVM, so we know it works.
Yeah, and if you're filling in some of them common gaps, and especially around that admin side, because a lot of customers are very Wintel focused teams are not necessarily Linux-focused teams, and it can be a bit of a daunting task to move away from, something you've been used to for a long time. So the simpler they can make that from a day to operations perspective, then the better.
Yeah, and I think we'll cover ops ramp in a separate session, but I think that HP are really anchoring towards the ops ramp capability to underpin a lot of their future like multi-cloud, hybrid cloud management, right? And layering in AI onto that to really unlock operational efficiencies. We'll cover that, I think, is in part 3. We're going to cover that. But ultimately, that's what they announced. That's what was there. There was a lot of, it was quite an under the radar announcement, really, because you had a lot around the AI stuff. It says, and we're also announcing virtualization capability. And then they went, this is what it means. And they went off. Right. So it was that kind of announcement.
An early release announcement type thing.
And one of the questions I've raised back to the leadership team at HP is, well, are you going to charge for it? What is the cost? What is the cost uplift? Obviously, it's only going to be supported on HPE hardware, obviously. So again, it's going to be limited to certain customer use cases and directions some customers may be taking. So if you run a multi-OEM environment today from Dell and HP and whoever else and Lenovo and so, that wouldn't be the right option for you. It's not independent.
No, but if you're in on that HP ecosystem, you're going on that hybrid cloud journey that they've been claiming and building out in the GreenLake platform, then it's choice, I guess, into the future, which is the important piece. You're buying into a hardware platform. Yeah,
and one of the things that I found really interesting was one of the statistics they used. So they're saying that just from what HPE can see from the HPE systems out there in the wild, there's over 400,000 systems out there, so DL380s, 360s ultimately, that are end of sale, end of life, and need something doing with them. So that's a lot, right? It's a lot of stuff. It's a big thing to go at. So there's a bit of protect your foundation in your base that HP are going to go after here, I think. But then the real statistic, though, is that from the data they can see that's being pulled back, that only 7% of valuable workloads are being delivered off those platforms, right? And what they're saying there is that the amount of hardware they have available to support those workloads isn't value for money. And what they're saying now is with the new generation servers, you can do an 8-to-1 consolidation. So 8 legacy gen whatever to the latest Gen 11s.
Yeah, and the impact there, not just from a operational standpoint and cost, but actually, think power, cooling, licensing, but sustainability, ESG pieces. There's so many knock-on effects to that optimization. It's quite crazy. So, I mean, that's great. I mean, it's another choice in the market, and it gives customers more choice. But I guess with that is the fact you've got to make a choice then. So, that's why us having our independent hat on is great, to be able to advise customers on the pros and cons, and having the inside track from the events is great. So thanks for that, Kyle. Hopefully that gives everyone a bit of a view of what Discover's like in the virtualization release, and we'll be back in part 2 to talk about AI. Thanks for listening. I've been Rob Sims, Chief Technologist for CDW.
And I've been Kyle Davies, Head of the Office of the CTO. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Be sure to check out the back catalogue for more great insights. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. We appreciate your support. And if you have a topic you want us to cover, feel free to reach out. Catch you next time.